Record. So, very warm welcome to today's live coaching call. So, today is a very special call because we have Matt Morris on, who is my brother. I'm going to talk a little bit about Matt in a minute, but if for any reason you got people who are saying that they couldn't get on the call because there's like we're close to maxing out actually already. We're 96, so it's going to max out very, very quickly. But we're also live on my Facebook page as well, at Shasharia. So if anyone reaches out to you, say, I can't get on. I had loads of people messaging me last week when we had Peter Powderum on. So that's what you do, is just send them to my Facebook page, but we will get the recording out as well. So let me just say a few hellos. Eamon O'Brien is from Dublin. No, he's not. He's Alicante. He was originally from Ireland, but he's moved. We got Tony K from Salisbury, UK. Carrie Lorette. Okay, well, right. Maris Fulgo from Bucharest, Romania. Well, I don't think he's from Bucharest, but hey guys, if you don't tell me where you're from, I can't say. Then we've got Norway's in the house, Arnie Johnny Pedersen. We got Till and Travel from Sweden. We have Romania, Andre Dutta. We got Ari and Danny from Paris. Sweden's in the house, Karen. We've got Kuziwa Guara from Zimbabwe. Hey, Zimbabwe's in the house. Cyprus, Kalispera, Christoforos. Victor Zach, Singapore's in the house. Wow. 4 a.m. in the morning, something like that. Crazy, crazy. Stavrilo from Greece. Mindagus from Northampton, UK. We have Dennis from Dublin. Vanessa from Manchester, Jamaica. Drink Red Stripe, man. Yeah. Okay, that was a bad Jamaican accent, but there we go. Martin Stoyanov from Dublin, welcome. Peter from Zimbabwe. Giles from Jamaica. Cal from Zimbabwe. No, Jamaica. Kelvin from Zimbabwe. Wow. A lot of people on reunion. Okay, fantastic. Okay, guys, I can't say hello to everyone because we have to get started, and because obviously we have a very special person on the call today. So obviously, listen, guys, I mean, of course, most of you will know who Matt Morris is, but let me just remind you some of his achievements. Actually, I mean, I'll just tell you, Matt, obviously, how long have you been in the industry, Matt, now? Is it 25?
25 years.
25? You don't even look 25, bro.
I know, right? I got started at 11.
I'm liking the things, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's my quarantine beard. Or goatee rather. I can't grow a real beard, so I can just do goatee. It's not gonna last for sure, okay. But I figure while I'm on lockdown, why not?
Makes you look more intelligent, bro. Really.
Anything would make me look more intelligent.
So anyway, so Matt is obviously 25 years in the industry of network marketing. He's the #1 income earner in World Ventures. And he is regarded globally as one of the most successful networkers really of all time. And today, currently, I mean, he is just so well respected. He gets invited to talk at the GoPro events by Eric Worre, which is, a massive recognition for his efforts. He's been invited to speak on TV and radio, Fox News, CNN, I mean, all sorts of different shows. #1 best-selling author of The Unemployed Millionaire, of course. So if you haven't got that book, you should definitely get the book, okay? International speakers, literally spoken to hundreds of thousands of people in his life. And we call him a millionaire creator because, I mean, there are absolutely stacks of people within his team who've become millionaires through the business. And he's regarded as a mentor of mentors. And interestingly enough, I'll tell you, see, I knew Matt Morris before World Ventures because I was in a company before, which was a direct competitor to his company, which he owned, Success University. So I was in a company called ILG, which actually I joined because I was working with Brian Tracy, and so he was sort of like a bit of the competition, right? Okay, so I knew of him. I mean, I'd never met him, but I knew of him before World Ventures, and obviously, Matt sponsored Peter, who obviously I work with, and man, it's a blessing. So obviously, I've got to know Matt. We traveled extensively through the world, worked together, and it's just been incredible, awesome. So I mean, he is a living legend. He's someone who has just done amazing things. So Matt, thanks for being here, bro.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. The very kind words. The reality is, if you do something long enough, you figure it out, and you don't really have to be the best if you can sponsor people like Peter, who are better than you and yourself. Then it makes you look really good. So I've gotten good at sponsoring good people.
No, you certainly have, bro. You're an absolute master of the game, and so I'm gonna shoot some questions to you, okay? But really, like everybody knows you're wonderful and all that, and when we bring sort of like top income earners and top people into these calls, you know, and they're sharing sort of how to build a business or whatever, and that's all very well. But the bottom line is that many times they don't know, like they see your lifestyle today. They see the big house, they see the cars, the first class, holidays and travel, etc. But they don't know the actual story and the adversity that you went to. And I mean, I remember coming to United, I think it was like probably 2011 or 12, where I heard your story for the first time, when you were growing up. And man, I mean, it touched me. I mean, actually, it had me in tears when you told that story. And, so the thing is, I mean, if you don't mind, if you just tell us a little bit about that adversity you went through, so people understand that although you have this incredible life today, it wasn't always like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, actually, it was crazy, what you went through. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll tell the story quickly. I mean, I think for a lot of years, especially growing up, I used the story to hold myself back. Now I've flipped the script a little bit, and I've changed my meaning behind the story. And so the story now, I believe, really empowers me. But, my parents divorced when I was about 4. My father, not long after, he actually broke in to my mom had actually fallen in love with someone else that she was seeing. And my father broke in and murdered my mom's boyfriend. And so my father went to prison. So lived with my father in prison for a while. He got out of prison, became an alcoholic. Just lots of stories of, being in bars with him and, crazy stuff happening. And, was for the most part raised by a single mom who worked 2 and 3 jobs to, work her way through college. She, by the time I got to high school, she actually graduated law school. She became an attorney. She became a judge. She actually retired as a judge. So mom is my hero. But, we were pretty poor. We were on the welfare system, food stamps, and, lived in a trailer park. And we upgraded to a garage apartment, a 1-bedroom room, and it was like, you sat on the toilet and your knees were in the shower. So, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So, how that inspired me or how that empowered me was it gave me a lot of desire, not having a lot of money growing up. I always wanted to have more. And so I'm grateful for the fact that we didn't have a lot growing up. When I was 13, my father committed suicide. So I lost my father at 13. And, for a lot of years, I thought, man, my father must not have loved me because he, you know, took his own life and abandoned me is the way I felt. And there were a lot of other things that he did that were less than, you know, perfect as a father. I would, you know, you could easily argue to say pretty bad fathering, right? But I look at the story now, and, you know, for a lot of years, it was kind of hard for me because, like, I felt like my own father didn't love me. If my own father doesn't love me, how could anyone else love me? And so, you know, you carry a lot of that baggage with you. And, you know, when I realized that you can create whatever meaning you want based on whatever experience happens, no experience is good or bad, it's our interpretation of the story, I decided to create a different interpretation, right? And so today I'm amazingly grateful for my father, because he taught me what not to do. And I think if I didn't have the father that I had, I probably wouldn't be the father that I am today. And I'm proud of the fact that, you know, I believe I'm an amazing father, and, you know, I can attribute that to my father. You know, so thanks, Pop, right? So, you know, that was kind of my story growing up. Got into networking when I was 18, and carried a lot of that with me. And so, you know, my first 2 years, I sponsored 3 people, 2 of which I paid for to get in.
So how did you find out about network marketing? So what was the first time you got invited?
Yeah, I was working as a waiter. I was a banquet waiter, making minimum wage in college, trying to, you know, pay my way through school. It was my second year, 18 years old. Cute waitress is working the banquet. And as we're, you know, serving dinner and picking up plates and serving coffee and desserts, and she kept initiating conversation with me. And she's kind of cute. So I'm like trying to initiate conversation back, and we're sitting there waiting for people to finish dessert, I think it was. And she kind of looks and she says, "Hey, you ever think about being in business for yourself?" That was the question. You ever think about being in business for yourself? And of course, I want to build rapport with her. And I said, yeah, in fact, all the time. So she said, well, write your number down. We'll talk business sometime. So I was excited about talking business with her. So I gave her my number, and she called me a day or 2 later, invited me to a hotel one night to talk business. So I'm like, all right, nighttime hotel, talk business, I'm in.
Awesome. So I think that the key thing here is, and I'll emphasize this, is that, you know, like she asked Matt, you know, whether he was interested, you know, in talking business, right? And see, nothing gets done in this world or in life unless you ask a question, right? Whether it's like getting married or getting a job or anything, right? You have to ask, right? So it's like, that's the reason why now, you know, now's the time while everyone is at home, you've got to be asking people questions, right? Okay.
We have never in my history in 25 years, we've never had a more captive audience, because everyone's at home.
So we'll get more into that later, Matt. Okay. So yeah, so carry on with your story, your network marketing.
Yeah, so got into network marketing. First 2 years, I sponsored 3 people, 2 of which I paid for to get in. One was my mother. I never even told her she was in. The one guy that actually did really enroll, he had been drinking before the presentation. So he signed up. The next day, never heard from him again. So 2 years later, I had one person in my group. It was me. But you know, an amazing thing happened when I signed up. My sponsor gave me a copy of Think and Grow Rich. And I had never read any personal development book before. And I remember reading that book thinking, oh my God, why didn't I learn any of this in school? And I'm super thankful she gave me that book, because had she not, I probably wouldn't have made it, you know. And in the book, I still remember it said right at the beginning of the book, it said, within this book lies the secret to success. And I'm like, awesome. I want to be successful. I want to make money. I want to be a millionaire. So I'm like hot to read this book. So I read the whole book, and it never said what the secret was. And I'm thinking, or I must have been daydreaming. You know how sometimes you read like half a page and you don't remember anything you read? So that happens to me a lot, right? So I'm like, all right, I must have been daydreaming. Let me read it again. So I read the whole book again, and specifically looking for the word secret, like the secret is this. And it never told me the secret. And I'm thinking, well, was he lying? What's the deal? And I thought, well, what he must mean by that is I've got to determine the secret myself. So I read the book a third time, just looking for commonalities and like thinking like, what is the secret? What is the secret? What is the secret? And it really boiled down to one word. And that one word was determination. Because in that book, it talks about a lot of different success stories. And what was common among all the stories was that people experienced a lot of adversity. They went through a lot of challenges, and the key to winning was not giving up and continuing forward. And so that was locked in my mind early in my network marketing career. And obviously I experienced a ton of challenges, but I always thought back to that. I always thought back, the secret of success is determination. And, you know, when things were rough for me, I was frustrated. I felt like I'm banging my head against a wall. Why can't I make it work? I see people joining after me, but passing me up. And I'm still stuck making no money. What, like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this network marketing thing. But I just always remembered it's determination. I've just got to keep going, keep going, keep going. And eventually I'll figure it out. And so, you know, after that experience, I joined another company and it didn't get a whole lot better. 9 months later, I was $30,000 in debt. You know, I like nothing going on. I had moved back in with my mom. She forced me to go get a job. So that's when I got a job selling swimming pools in Louisiana. And so they sent me to Louisiana. They didn't give me a place to live and they didn't pay commissions until the pool got installed 6 to 8 weeks later. So for basically 2 months, I lived out of my car selling swimming pools. And so that was a fascinating experience. You know, I mean, I always say there's two motivators in life, the desire for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. And so thank goodness I went through that experience, because it gave me a ton of motivation to get out of the pain that I was in. And I can remember, it was like yesterday. I remember one specific night. It's the night I showered in the rain in a church parking lot. And some of you have heard that story, right? So I dry off, I'm in my car, I get back, and I dress myself.
What made you shower in the rain?
It had been about 3 days since my last gas station bath. I would bathe in gas station bathrooms that had a door that would lock. I'd find small gas stations that had like an outdoor bathroom, because it's usually just a one stall deal and you can lock the door. Those also happen to be the dirtiest of the bathrooms, right? But so I would go in, I'd lock the door, take my clothes off, and I'd like bathe from the sink, right? And that's what I would do every 2 or 3 days, right? So it had been about 3 days since my last gas station bath. And I'm laying there in my car, rather sitting in my seat, and I'm like, kick the seat back and I try to sleep, and I can't fall asleep because I smell, like I stink. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to sell a pool smelling like I do now. And like, I can't go into these people's houses smelling like this. I got an appointment at like 10 a.m. So it's raining outside. I'm like, hey, let me shower in the rain. Now, if you've never showered in the rain, there's no concentration of water like a shower head, so it doesn't work very well. So I actually showered from the gutter runoff from the roof of the church. And, you know, that's when I got back in my car and I had to come to Jesus talk with myself. And it's like, all right, I'm 21, homeless, living out of my car. I got no career. I've failed in network marketing. I've got like no friends. I'm lonely. I just showered naked in a church parking lot. Something has got to change. And it was just this feeling that came over me where it was, I don't know, just, it sounds so cliche, but it's, you know, the whole thing about being sick and tired of being sick and tired. That was kind of where I was at. It was like so much frustration. And really, if I'm honest, it is pissed off at myself for allowing myself to get into that situation. And when I had done network marketing in the past, I had gone to trainings and I read the books, but to be real open, I partied a lot and I had way too much fun. And I didn't really take it seriously like I should have. And so I just made a commitment that night. I actually wrote it in my planner. I still have, it's not really a planner, it's a spiral, kind of an old spiral journal. And I put in the journal that night that I don't care how hard I have to work. I'm never going to get in this situation again. And I'm going to be a massive, massive success. And it was really just kind of making a commitment that I was going to figure it out. And that's when I started what I call a reinvention process. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a financial vehicle, but I listened to a Tony Robbins cassette, and Tony said he had read over 700 books, everything he could get his hands on as it related to success. And he became a multimillionaire. And I just thought, man, I want to model him. He said the key to success is modeling. Find someone who's had a lot of success, figure out what they did, and you can do what they did and you can have success as well. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll model that. And granted, it was a little intimidating thinking about reading 700 books, but I thought, man, I'll just start reading and learning like crazy. And so I got kind of obsessed. I started reading a book about every 2 days. Any money I had, I would invest in books. I actually spent a ton of time in, it was actually a Barnes and Noble or a Borders in Lafayette, Louisiana. That was the area that I was in most of the time. And I would go into the bookstore and I'd just sit on the floor, or they had a chair, which if the chair was filled someone in it, I'd just sit on the floor and I'd read for hours and hours and hours. I would read the books. So I wouldn't pay for them. I'd read their books, and, you know, the library would close. I'd remember what page I was on. I'd come back the next day. I'd put like a bookmark in there and I'd finish the book the next day. And so I just started learning like crazy. And that's when things really started to change for me. It was, you know, that massive learning. And then I got back into network marketing again. And I'd love to say it was like an overnight thing, but it took me another probably 2.5 years or so to get to a full-time income.
Would you say there was times like before that you wanted to quit?
Yeah, there were a ton of times. I mean, it was, the frustrating part was when I dropped out of college, my friends, some of my friends graduated, and I saw my friends going and getting jobs and having all their bills paid and having kind of like a cushy kind of life. And, but I just thought, you know, it was tempting to go do that. And I did for 1.5 years or so. I went and got a corporate job, and I'm kind of doing network marketing on the side, but you know, I know network marketing is where I want to be, but it's this the temptation of just getting by. And it was frustrating. I mean, I definitely wanted to quit a bunch of times, but I just thought there's no way that I'm going to be able to live the lifestyle that I really want to live having a normal job. And, you know, today I look at those same friends who were making more money than I was and living like the cush kind of life while I'm working jobs as a waiter and a technician at Starbucks. I worked in a sweatshop at one point. I mean, the crazy stuff that I did to be able to, you know, focus more on my network marketing career. I mean, I worked in a sweatshop in the summer, the air conditioning was out, you know, it was just absolutely miserable. I'm rebuilding carburetors. So you come out and your hands are just one big ball of grease at the end of the day. And it was so many crazy things where I'm just like, I can barely make gas money. I'm literally pawning almost everything I own. I'm pawning to be able to afford to go to trainings and things like that. And so just being broker than broke, having to play the credit card game where, you know, I max out one credit card and then I'm like trying to pay balances from one card from the other. I'm doing like cash advances to pay one and cash advances to pay rent. And it's just crazy. Like all of the things I think about that I went through, struggling so much financially, living out of my car, all of this. But I just knew, like, one day I'm going to figure it out. Why? Because the key to success is what? Determination. I'll eventually figure it out. And, you know, thank goodness I did.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. I mean, you know, you help literally thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people around the world, you know, within this industry. So that's amazing. So I think it's important, you know, for people to realize, you know, often you look at someone like Matt and just think, wow, um, you know, you almost put him on a pedestal, but you don't know that actually he's gone through, if not the same kind of frustrations and adversities and problems and challenges as you, if not even worse, right? Okay, I mean, actually, like crazy stuff happened to him when he was very, very young. Yet, you know what? It wasn't an excuse, as he said. He used it eventually, that story, to empower him. So that's amazing. Um, so Matt, what about like now today, with obviously all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world, right? What is the opportunity now? What can people do now, especially as like them and virtually everyone they know are at home? What can they do now on a daily basis to win big?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing right now is crazy. I mean, this time with the coronavirus, the pandemic, and I mean, people are almost like on a global scale, people are on lockdown, right? So people aren't leaving their home. And so we've got more a captive audience more so than any time else. And it's not, you know, making light of the coronavirus. It's not discounting it. It's certainly not discounting the seriousness. And it's not that I feel bad. I don't feel bad for people who are suffering, but you know, it kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning. No experience is good or bad until we make it so. And I'm not saying Corona is a good thing, not at all. I mean, you could say that's a bad thing, but for our profession, from a business standpoint, whenever something bad happens, whether it's a recession, which pretty clearly we're in a global recession. You know, the U.S. markets have tanked, other markets, the stock market has tanked, and some companies are going out of business. Right? Many companies are going out of business. There was an estimate that between 25 million and 37 million people in the coming weeks and months are going to lose their job. There's already, I mean, I think they've already said there's been well over 1 million people have lost their jobs on a global scale. I think I saw like 2.5 million or 4 million. I don't remember what it was, something I saw yesterday on it. So millions of people are losing their job. The financial fear is greater than it's ever been. And so I hate to say this is a good thing for us, but from a business standpoint, we've got a more captive market than ever. People are more open-minded. I'm seeing way more activity than I've seen in a very long time. I mean, I've never seen this many Zooms, this many trainings, this many three-way calls. I mean, I haven't, like, it is crazy what's happening right now. And so network marketing, if you look at, and I did a live on this the other day, Success Partners, who services the network marketing industry. I was actually, when I owned a network marketing company, I was a client of theirs. They were my fulfillment house. They own Success Magazine, and they do events for executives and owners of network marketing companies. So they've got lots of network marketing companies as clients. And so they surveyed their companies and said, hey, what are your March revenues looking like versus February? And what's the month over month increase or decline? Only 14% of the network marketing companies surveyed were showing no growth or a decline. 86% of network marketing companies surveyed were up, anywhere from 10 to more than 30% month over month. Now, if a company does 10 to 20% year over year, that's really good growth. To do 10, 20, 30% plus month over month is some staggering numbers. And so we've got companies out there who are having their best month ever. And so we've got teams within World Ventures who are rocking it like crazy. Now, there are teams who are not rocking it like crazy. And I got to tell you, the teams that are not rocking it like crazy are not doing as much activities as the teams that are. So the teams that are rocking it are the ones who are saying, you know what? This is our opportunity. This is our time. There are people out there hurting more right now than ever before. Now, what I've said for years, my coaching has always been fairly simple. If you want to create a lot of wealth, you've got to do a great job of providing value in other people's lives. So how can you do that right now in this economy when millions of people are losing their job? And it's simply to reach out and be a helping hand with love and compassion and check interest, saying, hey, how are you? I mean, there's never been a better time to reach out to someone and say, hey, how are you doing in these crazy times? And let them tell you. Get into conversations with people, check on people, show compassion, show love, show caring, and offer an opportunity. Say, you know what? You know, you could use the numbers. Hey, 86% of our profession in our industry, that business is rocking. It's doing really well. And so I just thought I'd see, since our business is doing really well, I wanted to see if you had any interest of making money from home. And if they say yes, obviously you show it to them. If they say no, thanks. Hey, I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Let me know what I can do to help you. And, you know, let that invite be a way to strengthen the bond with your friends. You don't need to be pushy. You don't need to be the I told you so. Hey, I've seen posts out there. Bet you wish you would have had a home-based business now. It's tacky, right? We don't need to be doing that. But right now, why are 86% succeeding? It's because more people are open right now. People are captive. They're stuck at home. Now, if you look at this for the travel industry, I mean, I'm going stir crazy, and I normally work from home. Okay, my kids are here. And I've had the kids for, I don't know, almost 2 weeks, and no school, nothing, right? So I'm ready for a vacation. Everyone's ready for a vacation more than ever. Everyone knows that travel gets back to normal. Travel's down right now. And so when is the best time to get involved in something? When it's down. The best time to buy a stock is when the stock is down. So travel's down right now. The hotels, resorts, everything is on sale massively. And so you go on our booking engine, you're going to save way more money than you've ever saved when you book trips that are a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months out. I mean, now is the time to be gobbling up market share. And so, I just believe that from a business standpoint, it's a great time to build. It's not a great time in our history. Like, we look back on this, we're not going to be saying, the coronavirus pandemic was a great time. But from a business standpoint, we're going to look back, and I think we're going to say, wow, we really grew through this. This was a good thing from a business standpoint. Now, I was in travel and network marketing when 9/11 happened. And I had just gotten to $2,000 a week. I had worked like crazy. I mean, I blitzed, I went all out. I worked like 80 hours a week. I get my check to a couple $1,000s a week. And then 9/11 happens and they shut down travel. I was only doing business in the US, but they shut down all airports. There was zero travel for, I don't remember how long it was, a week or however, no travel. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, maybe my business is over. And, Wayne Nugent was my upline. And he just shared with me, man, everyone's going to get back to traveling. We're the biggest industry in the world. Even if travel got cut in half, it's still bigger than anything else sold in network marketing. And so this is a temporary setback for the travel industry. It'll rebound. Don't worry. And so I just took his advice. I was so coachable with Wayne. Whatever he told me was true. I believed it. Whatever he told me to do, I did. If he told me to read a book, I read it. He said, go to a training, I went to a training. I think I'm probably the most coachable student Wayne has ever had. Okay. And the reason why I'm so coachable with him is because what he says is true. And I'm telling you now, if there's ever a great time to build, it's when travel is down. It's like right now, it's building as much as you can. So when the masses, everyone is ready to go on vacation, travel is going to boom way more than it has in the last several years as soon as we get back to it. And so, that's my outtake on it. I mean, my outlook on it. Because I continued to build back then, my business did go down for a little bit because travel was just absolutely dead. But you know what happened? That was in September. By January, I was at $10,000 a week. 5 times what I was at before that happened. Thank goodness I decided to build when things were a little bit tougher. And so, I mean, I just think now is the opportunity if you capture it.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, since we launched our silver product, a few weeks ago, which gives people the opportunity to get involved with our opportunity as a silver rep for $75 and less than $100. That's incredible, right? Okay. I was doing the math the other day. Look, guys, if you build 4 teams, right, of 16 silvers, right, you will create a residual passive income more than $400 a month, right?
Strong.
4 teams of 16 silvers, right? And obviously some of those people will want to go higher, gold or above. Yeah. Okay. So
that's a good point. I mean, I'm going to give you my philosophy on this. There are people who are only pitching silver. And what I see looking at the numbers, the teams that pitch at least silver, gold, and platinum. Some people are not pitching titanium. I'm okay if someone's scared to pitch titanium. I'm fine. I mean, I mentioned titanium in my presentation. I show everything, but here's what I see. The teams that are doing just silver, they're only signing up silver members, obviously. The teams that are showing everything, they're signing up the same amount of people, the same enrollment ratio, but they're also getting gold and platinums, and they're making way more money. So if you're only showing silver, you're costing yourself and you're costing your team a bunch of money. And so show it all, show the buffet. And, it's like the way I present it is worst case, do silver. But, if you really want the experience, then obviously gold or platinum is where you want to be. Most people on the gold and platinum is the most popular. It's where the biggest value is. But show everything, and you're going to sign up just as many people. You may sign up more people because there's a thing called price contrast. And price contrast is this. It's like when I went in my lake house, as an example, I wanted to get trees trimmed. And I had in my mind, like, tree trimming has got to be fairly inexpensive. I had no idea. I'd never paid anyone to do tree trimming. So I'm thinking it's going to be, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 maybe. I have no idea, right? So I call a tree trimming service, and this guy comes out and he's like, well, I'll trim the back of your property for $5,000, the front of your property for $2,500, $7,500. And I'm thinking, holy crap, $7,500 to trim trees? Now, granted, I've got about 4 acres and there's a lot of trees, right? So I'm like, hey, thanks for coming out. I'll let you know. I call another guy. This other guy comes out and he gives me a price of $2,500. And I'm like, sold. Can you do it tomorrow? Now, I had it in my mind that it was going to be $1,000 to maybe $2,000. But in my mind, it was somewhere like $1,000, $1,500. Now, if the first guy, if he would have come first and said, it's only, it's $2,500, that would have been a lot of money. But because I saw something bigger, the $2,500 was like an amazing bargain. It was a steal. And so that's why I like to show everything, because the fact that I'm showing a $25 product all the way up to $1,000 product, the 25 looks like nothing. So again, that's why I think show it all. I mean, all sales science will tell you, don't just show the lowest one.
Yeah, and I mean now, like every day, there's multiple webinar presentations happening from amazing presenters, right? I mean, I know that you did one earlier, Matt, and we have the recording of that, of course. But man, I mean, now is the time to capitalize on other people present. You don't even have to present yourself, right?
That's it. I mean, it's inviting people to a webinar and they see, oh my gosh, I can do this from home.
Exactly. So the last question is that this Saturday, there's going to be a Super Saturday with some incredible speakers, including yourself. I know that Sasha's put this together, and it's like $5. Damn.
Yeah. To get to hear from Mark Aceta, our director of training, to get to hear from Wayne Nugent, our founder, to get to hear from Eddie Head, our president, to get to hear from David Peach, who broke the company record, fastest to hit IMD at the time, Sachin Govender, the only individual quadruple IMD in the company, and then myself for $5.
$5, man. It's less than $1 each.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. $1 each. That's awesome.
Okay, so listen, guys, get that booked. I mean, obviously, that's been thrown all over Facebook and the WhatsApp groups about getting signed up to that. Let's make sure that you get on that. It's, I believe it's like, anyway, the timings, I'll let you know. I believe it's like from 3 p.m. UK time. But anyway, it's something that you don't miss it. I think actually I saw you say this, Matt, that like most people that quit didn't get trained, and the second reason most people quit was that they didn't get trained enough, right?
Yeah, Sachin did that. I copied it.
Okay. Yeah. Which is absolutely true. So anyway, Matt, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Great to see all the names up on there.
Show the love, guys. Put your comments in for Matt. Let him know that you appreciate him as I do, both here on Zoom and also on Facebook as well. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, Matt. Thank you again. Appreciate you, brother, and I'll see you very, very soon. Awesome.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you too. Thanks, brother.
See you.